Hi everyone, it's Niamh here and welcome to my art journaling channel. Today I am playing around with a Monochromatic Art Nuevo type page. So I started off this page with a little bit of an idea. I have had this collage image that has been sitting in my collage pile for quite a while. I can't remember what magazine I cut it out of. But I've always loved it, and it's quite funny because it's in greens, and green is not necessarily one of my favorite colors. I don't use it very often, particularly on its own. It's not a color I tend to wear very often either, so it was a bit of a creative challenge for me to work out how I was going to use it. So I decided that I would start off with collage, because breaking my white page fear with just tearing up some bits and bits of paper in the background and gluing them down always seems to help me somewhat. I did know that I wanted to balance out if I was going to use greens with some tones of black in the background, so that's why all the collage I'm using on here, it's all collage tissue, but I'm using it because there's a strong black and white basis to it. Then I went through my Dina Waitley paints to grab out all my green colours. So I'm just going in with a base coat of the colour olive. Olive is a really funny colour because it looks, terrible way to describe it, but baby poo colour in the bottle. But when you put it out, it's got an almost luminescent yellow-green tinge to it. So it's actually a really cool colour to use, because you're never 100% sure how it's going to turn out, but it's a great sort of neutral base tone to put something put down. I then started layering up my colours, so again using all my different green tones, and I'm putting it in 3 places and just doing a bit of a ghosting technique with a text stencil. I actually put that text stencil on upside down and back to front. That's okay, it all works in the end because it's only the impression that you want in the background. I'm currently trying to find my dark green colour. It was hidden, I couldn't find it anywhere. Just to get a little bit more darkness onto the page. Again, 3 sort of biggish stripes across the page, but I knew I was going to go in and rub some of that away so I could sort of balance it out a little bit. So you can see my stencil is moving a little bit. That's okay. You know, you're just going to get the impression in the end. With doing something like this, I do like to use the same sort of stencils in the background, or only use like 1 or 2, just so you've got a little bit of repetition happening. Obviously we've got the repetition of the colours, but having the repetition of the pattern as well is quite important, just to make it sort of make sense a little bit. So you can see those lovely colours sort of starting to come through now. You'll notice every time I remove my stencil, I'm drying off my page. So that's really important when you're layering up colours like this, particularly when you're going to remove some of it afterwards, because if it's not dry, when you take the layer of paint off, or below, it's going to take everything off. So you need to make sure the layer of paint below is dry, and it's only the wet surface paint, and then it's going to remove. So I decided I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle into the background. I've got out my Gilt gloss spray, or if you've got a gold acrylic ink, that would work just as well, and just sort of splattered that across the background just to bring up some of those yellowy green tones to it. So this is obviously the large magazine image that I wanted to use, and it's an absolutely beautiful image. Could well be from a Qantas magazine, actually, looking at this, probably from an ad or something. So you can see those beautiful green colours, and you can see why I chose the colours I did, because that olivey colour you can see in the base of her dress and so on, so it sort of worked out well. I do have some ripples in my magazine image as I glued it down. That's okay, it'll all flatten out in the end, so I'm not particularly concerned about it. But I did know my next challenge was going to be that I wanted to put a quote on this page, but it needed to sort of balance up between the 2 pages. And when I found the quote that I had, it was absolutely beautifully written. Now, this is something you don't see me doing very often, but I have actually measured something out. I'm using a white Stabilo oil pencil. This is a woody pencil, it's a little bit thicker. And the reason I'm using it is for exactly that reason. I can use a wet wipe and wipe it away if I'm not happy with it. If I'd used my regular pencil, one, it'd be a bit hard to see, and two, I'd probably dent the page and you'd sort of see it and it would annoy me. So I like the fact that I can sort of just wipe it away. Usually I would go in straight with paint pen, but I was really unsure because this is not a style of font writing I've ever tried before. So I've got something up on my Pinterest screen that's sort of got this very Art Nouveau type writing, lots of swirls and whirls in it. And you can sort of see me really thinking about how I am actually getting it all on the page. And I do apologise, it's a bit hard to see with the white pencil, but you can kind of see what is happening, and certainly when I put the black on, it'll sort of pop out. So it's, the quote itself is, it's a fine time to wander, and it's sort of, she had that travel feel, or she's going off somewhere with her hat on. Thinking about where I was placing the font as well, so it's something that she's looking at. The other thing that I've done slightly differently with this is I'm using a really chunky pen to write my font. So I was happy enough in the fact that I'd already sketched it out underneath, so I was pretty sure of what I was doing. You can see me following the lines mostly as I'm going through this. You can see the lines, you know, the A sort of flips over to form the F from the fine. The R goes up into that swirl at the top as well, and some of the letters overlap. So you can see me sort of thinking, have I done everything I need to? I'm going back and checking it out, evening it up, connecting bits where I need to connect. It was really fun to do, but there was a lot of thinking involved in this, and a lot of, am I doing this right? Have I put this in the right place? So I would highly suggest drawing it out first. It's not something you hear on my channel very much. You can also see me trying to wipe away the excess white. Now, usually it would, I would certainly suggest, if you are doing this yourself, leave it to dry, probably overnight before you try wiping it away. I'm trying to wipe it away from paint pen while it's still quite fresh, so it is smudging a little bit. So I just gave up in the end and decided I was going to put a white line around it anyway, so it didn't really matter if you could see some of that white coming through. It was, again, a bit of a thinking technique, or a thinking puzzle to work out where my little highlights are going to go, because the letters weren't the usual way that I would write them. So where do the shadows actually go if it joins up? Which one am I going to put the highlight line on, or have I put it in the right place? So it was a little bit of a leap of faith to do this, but it worked out well in the end. I was happy with it. You can see also I'm sort of going around and doing bits in different orders. So I did the R first, then I'm going up to do the 2 in the middle. It all worked out in the end. So this is the final page, using lots of monochromes, using my collage image to set the tone of the page. So not only the color scheme that I was using, but the fonts that I was using, and trying to get myself out of my comfort zone and doing something different. So I hope you have a go at choosing something a little bit out of your comfort zone, whether it be a color or a style, or even just handwriting on your page and having a go at that, because I know it is slightly terrifying at times, but practice makes progress. So I hope you have a go. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye for now.